My dreams, gotta watch your part of your team. Cruising down on the east side, going home where I reside. Homeless ones on the streets. Damn, change. You could have been the same, so please don't complain. Think suggestions, take a second. 2018, gotta lead the weapon. Leading by EX, no second guessing. My damn, change. You could have been the same, so please don't complain. Think suggestions, take a second. 2018, gotta lead the weapon. Leading by EX, no second guessing. My like this, nice 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 like this, yeah. Nice like this, 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 yeah. Nice like this, nice like this, nice like this, nice like this, nice like this.
Welcome, 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 welcome everyone. This is the second episode of Black Meditations with Dr. Caesar. Today we have our special guests who are representing Chicago. And yes, we are doing music for the culture, Chicago style. We have D2X, also known as Demarius Dixon, as well as Nicholas Leveston, who goes by GLOhan Beats, who will be letting us know about Black music, rap music, producing, as well as being a youth, as well as activism. So before I start, I just wanted to just remind you all that this is Black Meditations with Dr. Caesar, and the whole goal of this particular series is for us to share Black culture as well as give hope to the world. I do want to let you all know that if you're in Zoom, please make sure that you are on mute. When there is time for question and answer, you will get an opportunity to unmute yourself and even show yourself. If you are looking at this on Facebook Live, I want you all to know that I will be monitoring the chat. So if you have any questions, please be prepared for those particular sessions so that I can ask those questions. So welcome, 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 welcome. Before we go into these questions, I do want to just provide just a little bit more information about our distinguished guests today. And first, we're going to start with Nicholas Leveston. He is a music producer from the Chicago area who is also known by GLOhan Beats. He has produced songs for high-profile artists such as Lil Uzi Vert, Gucci Mane, Juice WRLD, Famous Dex, and more. Nicholas is an independent Black creator who loves to create music. He also releases his instrumentals as an artist for people to listen to. He's a huge fan of anime. Go figure, if you look at his name, GLOhan Beats. He likes video games and he incorporates both mediums into his music all the time. He prides himself as taking on influences and mixing them together to create music. He states, as a young Black creator, I'm still learning how to become a voice and use my platform to help push the culture forward. I'm looking forward to influencing the youth and hopefully leading future generations into the right direction. So welcome, welcome, GLOhan Beats. Our next distinguished guest is Demarius Dixon. He go by the name of D2X. He's an up-and-coming hip-hop and recording artist from the city of Chicago. He just recently graduated from Western Illinois University class of 2020. And I just want to take a moment because, this class, you all have been through some things. So congratulations on graduating and moving forward in these particular current times. D2X has been featured on some of Chicago's most prominent music platforms, such as Lyrical Lemonade, Power 92.3 Radio, Vocalo, My Generation, Older Generation, and The Next. And he also just released a music video on YouTube. He's constantly on the move. So I'm so excited to have D2X and GLOhan Beats here. When you all entered, you all heard a song called Nights that was actually produced by GLOhan Beats, and you heard the vocals of D2X on this particular song. I guess we can start there, guys. Can you all tell me a little bit about how did you all come together to create this song that we just heard called Nights?
Okay. So basically the vibe behind Nights was it was around New Year's and we was going through a lot of stuff, dealing with people and stuff like that. That's really behind the topic of the song. And this is back when I was recording in the basement and we just linked up and made the song. And I made the beat from just looking at different samples and stuff like that. And then we just, we came together and made that track. I guess, D2 could explain the rest.
Yeah, and that was just that was really like a point in time. We recorded that song in 2018. So we recorded it in January of 2018, and we released it in February the next month. And 2018 was just like a super duper like kind of pretty challenging year. Every year has been challenging, but like just going off like what I was going through back in that time, that was my junior year of college. So I was definitely dealing with a lot, trying to learn a lot on my own. And I just hit GLOhan up like for me to, just put something that really was connected to my emotions at the time. And I feel like that's the beauty of creating art, is for it just to be a representation of what you're going through, for it to connect with others. And at the same time, just for it just to be a period that, that could be recorded forever and you never forget about it. And it's all about growth. So I feel like I've grown a lot since then. And that's why I always love listening to it, because it just put me back at time frame.
Thank you so much for that. I think that is wonderful how you all linked up together and made that song. It's a beautiful song. I really enjoy it. And I'm so excited how you express, this fact that, look, I wrote this song. This song was created when I was in college. I was going through some things and I used it as a way to express myself. Now, before we go into some more questions, how do you two know each other? What's the story behind that?
We've known each other since first grade. Yeah. So for a long time, a very long time. So, yep, we've been friends since then.
And like we just started hanging out. Like once like really like we was always cool, but like when it came to like after like we went to the same middle school. Then when high school came, we went to separate schools. And GLOw went to Thornton, and I went to St. Rita on 79th and Western in Chicago. So it was like we was at two different schools. But like once I started to begin making music, my freshman year of college, just basically I made that transition from, I was playing basketball at the time. And then when I got to Western, I just took a break from, just really the idea of wanting to be like a professional basketball player and all those things. Like I had options to go to other schools, but I was just looking at the long-term effect. And I know how, how rare it is to even get that far to play professional. Just basically just really just viewing my situation as realistically as possible. I prayed on it, and when the music thing came together, like I felt like I really found like one of the most genuine people I ever met. So that's why it's like we always make music and we connect and support each other to this day. just based off, really feel like it's just God's blessing at the end of the day. So we, even when it's not music, we always talking about life and different things. So that's like the easiest thing to do is create art. And that's why I feel like it always comes out to be pure and natural. And, I feel like a lot of people enjoy it every time just because of the chemistry that we have. So,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, thank you so much. I really enjoyed that. I didn't realize there was such a long relationship that you all have. And I think that's important because, as you all know, right now there's a lot going on in the world concerning racism and the way Black people are portrayed in the world. And one of the things that we don't see a lot is positive Black male friendship, okay?
Yeah.
And so the fact that you all are representing positive Black male friendship, I think that is totally awesome. So thank you so much for sharing, and thank you for continuing to build together and keep that positive energy. So D2X, you went to Western. Can you tell me what was your major?
broadcasting and journalism, and my minor was music business. So I definitely, especially like my junior year, I learned a lot about broadcasting, and obviously I've like my whole life I always loved to write. So that's another reason why I went into that field. But I learned a lot as far as like connected to my music. It helped me, even my music business class at the same time, learning how to read contracts. Me and Glow always talk about it too, so that helped me with schooling. But I was always learning about contracts and publishing, and then with the writing, it helped me helped me learn how to write my own press releases when I'm reaching out to journalists and publishers around the world really. And school really taught me a lot. And I even got a chance to experience like being part of like the newscast and the news station at school. And I was coming up with my own stories and had to bring a big tripod and expensive camera with me to interview, people in the local community. But it was fun, and I learned a lot. And I feel like I'm definitely looking forward to seeing where my degree take me.
Thank you so much for sharing. And I like how you said that you talked about journalism as this particular way of you can do things yourself. You can create your own stories. You can create your own narratives, which are very similar to what you're doing as a rap artist. So thank you for sharing. The next question I have for you is, why did you become a music producer artist? And I know D2X, you kind of already started to talk about that, as well as just discussing it as a form of release. And GLOhan Beats, I'm very curious at your story as well, because you do something that's very creative. You fuse anime and rap music together. So
Yeah.
so tell me about you all's journey, and how did you all become D2X? How did you become GLOhan Beats?
All right. So basically, growing up, I've always been into anime and video games and stuff. But one of my favorite animes is Dragon Ball Z, and that's where I get the Han part, the GLOhan part of my name, from a character called Gohan. But like how I started making beats though is like, so there's this game for the PlayStation 3 called Little Big Planet 2, and I started playing that, and it had like a music sequence on it, and that's actually how I started messing around with music sequencing, because before then I was like my sister, Danielle Leveston. I used to draw a lot, but I kind of fell off from drawing. I kind of fell out of passion with it, and so I discovered music production through that video game, and then I eventually got the program I still use to make beats today called FL Studio. I still have that program. I had downloaded the demo for it in 2012, like November 2012. And I just messed around with it, just constantly like learning and educating myself on it through YouTube and watching tutorials and just studying up. And then eventually, I just kept working at it, and I fell in love with the art. So, that's how I became a music producer. And just as far as mixing anime and video games with it, I think that just comes with me being expressive in my music, and just, because I started with a different producer name. I started as Patch Productions, but in 2015, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, I need something that represents me a bit more. So I took two of my biggest influences. you know, I'm a huge fan of Chief Keef. So I took his label name is like Glow. And then I took the Glow part, but I put Han from the character from Dragon Ball Z and mixed those together. And then, you know, that was just a wrap from there. So that's how I got my identity for being a music producer.
And for me, how I got into music, I started recording like 2016, 2017. So not too long ago, but it's been a few years. And how I started making music really just started from, you know, me just transitioning from getting away from, you know, which was my biggest dream at the time, was trying to play basketball. And, you know, my whole life, that's what I did up until my freshman year of college. I played ball at St. Rita. My senior year, I was all conference, Catholic League, and also I had got nominated for the McDonald's All-American game. And probably my biggest thing I could probably pinpoint also from playing ball was like one time I had made it like on the front cover of the like Chicago Tribune and stuff like that. But I definitely felt like I was good and I could have kept playing, but I was just looking at the long-term effects of what I was doing and what I was getting myself into, and basically trying to make a mature decision and thinking ahead. You know, a lot of times we do what we love, but it's like I want to also do what I love and have a purpose with it and actually see it going long term. And I feel like that's another thing that I had to learn growing up, was actually being realistic with my goals as well. And being realistic with your goals, you know, that doesn't pertain to not believing or thinking negative, but it's also just having a plan. So if I knew what was my plan after 4 years as I graduate out of college, like, do I really see myself playing professionally or stuff like that? And I felt like I didn't. And anything I put my mind to, I want to go the fullest extent. So I'm just like, I might as well just figure out something else that I actually love. And I always loved music. Used to always read album reviews in high school and debate with my friends over, you know, old school music and our generation, new school music. So after I did that, I just started recording. Started recording off a computer, no microphone at all. Used to send those links to my friends, and it just grew ever since. And now it's like it's gotten to a point now where I don't necessarily have to like reach out to people to listen and stuff like that. Like I got close friends that always support it, and now I feel like I've grown a fan base through my social media and performing at certain shows and stuff. So I think it's grown over time, and I'm thankful that I chose to do this.
Thank you so much for sharing that with me, D2X. I think that you really evolved. You talk about this idea of evolution, how you started off as a basketball player, a really good basketball player, and how things have changed. And I feel like that's something you would never ever, it would never leave you. You will always be a great basketball player, but you just added to your repertoire of things to do. So now you're a great basketball player and you are a wonderful, amazing artist. So you get to do both. And I think that's really cool. And the fact that you started only a couple of years ago, I mean, this really shows your passion for the craft. The fact that you are, you know, like I said, you just released a new music video. You have, you know, a huge following, and your craft, you sound really good. I listen to you, you know, and so yeah, so that's kudos to you. And as far as GLOhan, you and your how video games kind of like inspired you, and you know, this ideal of video production, and it led to your own path of becoming a music producer, to produce great artists like D2X, Little Uzi Vert, as well as Gucci Man. So I just think that that is very, very much so profound. So you all are definitely doing your thing. My next question is, what is the role of the artist in the Black community in education? When you think of your role as a music producer, as a rapper, as a lyricist, as someone who makes beats, what do you feel like the role of the Black artist is in the community?
Personally, obviously, one of the roles is to be active and to use your voice, you know, like we're doing here, especially in these tough times. But I think another role that is overlooked sometimes is just showing decency and just being a good role model, because I'm not someone I don't really agree with, I don't like idolization and anything like that. But as far as a role model, just having somebody to look at as a good example, I think that's important as well. And to make great music and positive music that's gonna uplift people and, like not help destroy the community. And, that's actually something I'm gonna talk about in one of your later questions, because I was prepared for that. But yeah, I think as far as the role for the Black community, for an artist or a producer, just to show decency. As far as education, I feel like, because me being a producer, I have a YouTube channel, so I do like periodically from time to time, I do tutorials and I show younger producers or older producers how to make beats and how to do this. And sometimes I use my Twitter platform to explain like music publishing and how contracts work. So I feel like, giving back education and giving back information is very important, because a lot of people don't do that in this day and age. And there's a lot of young Black kids who come from certain types of neighborhoods who, the industry takes advantage of these people by giving them these crazy contracts, and they don't know much about them, and they'll sign them, and like 5 years later they'll be in a bogus situation for like $1 million check that they got to pay back anyway. So it's like, I just like giving back that information so people are aware and know not to not be too fast in this industry, because you can be blind a lot of times in this industry. So yeah, I feel like that's the role as a producer in the Black community for me.
And for me, I feel like also I definitely agree with everything Glo said. Also just adding on to that, I also feel like the role of a Black artist in the community is definitely someone who definitely brings hope, which connects and correlates to the point of being a role model. But also I feel like music is definitely um one of the most impactful ways to influence anybody, and definitely influence a culture and influence a race and things of that nature. So and then like just deep in my faith, like God created music. So thinking of it in that way, like I've also been in a space lately where now I've just been thinking and being even more self-aware of my music, and I definitely want to change a little bit of things up as far as just even adding more substance to the things I make, and realizing that it can be anybody, any age that's listening to me. And I definitely feel like I want to fill in that role to add more like help to people in the community. So at the end of the day, I feel like the role of a Black artist and for anybody, for the Black culture, is to lead and be a leader and to provide hope and just change. And I feel like that's going to help change people when they have somebody else to look up to, realizing that like we come from the same place, we come from the same background, and look what he did with the cards that he was dealt. So I feel like being connected with people in that way, and also just coming back and giving back, is like the best thing you could do with your platform, is taking advantage of it. So
I'd like to thank you all. I think those really are great, amazing points. You talked about this idea of being a role model. I don't want you to, I don't want to be an idol, right? I don't want you to, worship me, but I am doing some things that are cool and are good. So if you want to, learn how to do that, then that's fine. And this particular ideal of giving hope, Black music should be able to give hope. D2X, one of the things you talk about your faith, and I did a little bit more research on you. You talk about God a lot in your music, and so I want to know if you can kind of just express this, like this idea of being able to talk about God in your music, and the spiritual practice that you have, because as you know, your boy Kanye has been getting into a lot of trouble with his ability to kind of mix the secular and the sacred together. So how do you
yeah,
walk those lines, and if you can talk a little
um,
bit about that?
actually lately, like I've been like I got a woman that I really love that I'm with, and my partner, and I feel like we've definitely been getting closer and closer to God lately. I feel like I've always was connected to God my whole entire life, like um, but I feel like then it came a point in time where I feel like the devil would try to, or negative energy, whatever, people take it. But for me, I feel like the devil try to, steer you away from your destiny and where you need to go in life. And sometimes that negative energy could be people that you don't need to be around and things of that nature. So it's like I've also found myself just talking about my life through my songs and having to separate from people and different people and just different things, even my way of thinking or the way I go about things. So I think lately I've been transitioning to a better person. And I feel like just including God in everything and doing it sincerely and genuinely, not just doing it for a blessing. Like I just want to definitely please God in any way possible. So I also had tweeted recently, like, you know, if you want a relationship with anybody, a relationship with your career, a relationship with yourself, a relationship with the significant other, whatever the case may be, you got to have God in the center of it. So I feel like now I've been at a point lately where I just been figuring out how could I move further in my career and build on top of that. And I definitely want to include God and more and act out in his ways. So definitely planning on like building on top of what I've done. And I feel like it's going to get me even further because I'm doing things in a the best way possible.
Thank you all both for sharing. I think that's a message that a lot of youth don't get a chance to hear. Sometimes when you watch some of these videos out there, you only see this one type of depiction of Black youth and the
Yeah.
message, but you all are providing another perspective, because not to say that what we see is wrong. I accept all Black culture, right? But people also need to know that we have artists out here who are doing things maybe a little different. Both of you all sound like you all are centering, God, and having a little bit more different perspective in the way that you all engage the music game. Also, you all talked about this ideal of support. GLOhan, you talked about your sister. D2X, you talked about your partner and how you have people around you, positive people who are contributing to your success as well. So thank you all for sharing. The next question you all kind of already probably discussed a little bit more, but you already probably discussed a little bit through the previous questions, but I wanted to know, when you think of healing, right? How does your work contribute to healing? When you think of like your music, D2X, that the lyrics that you say, how do you feel like it helps you and others? And when you produce beats for different people, GLOhan, how do you feel like that's contributing to healing? How do you create this sacred part? Like, what makes your work sacred and healing?
Yeah.
Um,
Oh,
you
you wanna go
gonna
ahead? All right. Yeah. So when it comes to the healing process, I really feel like, as far as when I produce for other artists, like it could be any artist, a Lil Uzi or Gucci Mane, like I really don't have too much control over how they want to go, the direction they want to take their music in. But as far as when I release my own instrumental tracks, I think the fact that, because I release my beats as, as actual songs. I feel like the healing in that is just, is good, it's positive, it's normally very positive. But I do mess around with some darker things and some more mature things sometimes, of course. But I feel like at the same time, it's like just being instrumental alone. There's no lyrics that's helping destroy the culture or helping set the culture back. I'm not saying anybody's music in particular is destroying it, because obviously a lot of times people will just make music based off their own experiences in life, which is completely okay to me. But at the same time, like you said earlier, there are artists out here who are going about it differently. And I feel like, in a way, I'm just, me and D2X, because we don't really make music about any, if it is violent topics, it's never like too violent. We're not aiming to destroy with our music. And I think that, because obviously you're healing from destruction. If you keep getting destroyed, you can't you can rebuild, but as long as there's more destruction, it makes it harder to rebuild and to heal. So I think that having music, or having the option to listen to music that is the opposite of destruction, helps a lot.
and for me, I just feel like with the healing process with like my music, I feel like really I every song I make, I take a lot of time with it. like maybe even months, no matter how long the song is. It could be 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, no matter what the case may be. And I feel like during those times of me creating, especially lately with the new music that I plan on releasing soon and things like that, like I'm really just trying to just get closer and to, like I said, get closer to God, get closer to figuring myself out even more. I feel like the healing comes with being patient, and you can't ever heal if you're not being patient with learning yourself and figuring yourself out. Also, I find like you find healing in improvement. You find healing in patience. You find healing in, you know, just always thinking the right things and then acting on it. So I've been just feel like this whole entire year, 2020 has been a learning experience, and it's been a healing process at the same time, despite what's going on in the world. Um, I try to look at the world in my own lens and create my own world by doing the right things, no matter what's going on or how we are distracted by whatever's going on in society. At the end of the day, it's like no matter what's going on in the world, like you can never heal if it doesn't start with self first. So I've been finding a lot of healing with just life in general, and I feel like it's gonna speak even, more. And I feel like the music is gonna be even more substantial moving forward because now it's like I feel like I've matured and now I'm learning about what that is at the end of it.
Thank you so much. I like the fact that you said this idea that, improvement can be healing. Healing is not always this very linear aspect. Healing has different ways of looking. So thank you all for sharing, how music is healing and how it manifests in your own space. The next question I have is linked to this ideal of healing. As you all know, Black Lives Matter. The movement is occurring right now as we speak. There has been numerous of marches. Many people are protesting. There are so many programs and activities that are ongoing right now. And the people who are really front and center are the youth. But also we have a lot of artists who are commenting on these particular events that are happening in the world, whether that's racism, whether that's police brutality, whether that's disenfranchisement. We have artists who are taking it to the mic. So when you think of some of the music that may be produced, or some of the lyrics in your rap songs, how do you address these issues concerning the inequities that Black Lives Matter amplifies in their movement?
I go. I remember my first song I ever recorded in the studio. I had released it. It was called "Surviving in America" with the three K's for in America instead of the C before the A. And really, I feel like from time to time I always address things, even if it's not pinpoint, even referring to the word black or anything. Like at the end of the day, I feel like I'm gonna always step into any room, any place, any venue, any stage, whatever the case may be. Like every day I wake up as a black man. So I feel like at the end of the day, from what I've stood for and what I stand for since day one, I'm gonna always, my intentions with my music is to always represent anybody that looks like me from day one. Like that's the first thing ever. And I feel like that's important because I feel like it's relatable to so many because I feel like I come from a background in a family where it's always like a different variety of people's upbringings at the same time. So I feel like from my cousins, uncles, from whatever they did, for those that went to school, that didn't, that came from this neighborhood, that neighborhood. I feel like I just let everything around me just influence me from anybody that's my color. And I take all of that in and I try to apply it to my music. So I feel like when I'm speaking, especially something that's important, I'm speaking for everybody and I want everybody that's my color to be able to find some type of relation to what I'm talking about. But I was also moving forward, I definitely even became even more conscious of speaking on things that might could help somebody. And at the end of the day, like I want all of our Black brothers and sisters to grow and also be able to create their own business and just move forward with the culture.
Yeah, I completely agree. Just being one of D2X's producers, I feel like, we have a lot of records coming up in the future. Like we're going into the crates, looking at some old jazz records, a bunch of different stuff that we're gonna chop up and put together, and we're gonna speak on a lot of stuff. So, definitely as far as producing for D2X goes, it's definitely like I definitely contribute to that conversation through that. As far as the bigger artists, obviously like a Lil Uzi Vert doesn't necessarily speak on those topics in his music. But what I will say is even that contributes because by working with bigger artists and majors and stuff like that and getting these cosigns, it simply makes my voice bigger. It simply makes my ability to speak on things and my ability to comment on things more important. So I feel like in that way, that work indirectly affects how I speak and how I address things. So for sure, like it definitely contributes to that.
Thank you so much for sharing your responses and just really relating it back to this particular idea of it's all around me in the sense that my brothers, my cousins, my family, I can't escape it. And so, therefore, because these particular issues are all around me, it influences the way that I produce music and it also influences the content, like the words that I write. So, thank you all for sharing that. The next question I have is concerning Chicago style. What is Chicago style? Most of you all are from Chicago. Can you tell our viewers out there, like, what is distinctive about the Chicago music scene that people should know? In addition, how about your own style, D2X? When we think of you as a rapper, what are you known for? Like, when people hear that, they're like, oh, that's definitely D2X. As well as you, GLOhan Beats, when you produce a beat or do an instrumental, what is that? What is GLOhan Beats? What is when people listen to it, they're like, oh my, that's definitely GLOhan. So can you all talk a little bit about style?
I feel like Chicago style is everything, but I definitely feel like Chicago, we're definitely very different from any other city, in my opinion. And I feel like first and foremost, it starts with the language. I feel like it's nothing like Chicago language, the way we talk, as well as um, just the way we go about everything, even Chicago humor. Like everything about Chicago to me is very different, and it's a diverse city, and it's so many different cultures. You go to any area, you're gonna find something that's significant to the city. So I feel like I feel like I embody that in ways in my music. Definitely feel like the language of just being a Chicagoan always speaks. And I feel like I try to have that in my music. And then for my style, I feel like my style is just very just I give people a variety of everything. I like to have fun. I like to make sure people have a good time. So me and GLOhan or any other producer I work with might make music that I know people might need for that workout or just in a car just wanting to have a good time or if I'm just making music to have people think. So I feel like everything about D2X is just a variety of emotions. I try to captivate that in my music.
Yeah, I can kind of agree with that as far as the Chicago style and sound. Chicago has a bounce to it. It has a real good bounce to it. I just feel like as far as my 808s and the way I pattern my drums, very inspired by like early 2012 Chicago drill music and stuff. But obviously, I took it to like a different direction as far as where it goes, and that brings me into my style is like okay, it's the Chicago type of drums, it's this and that, but then it's like a Dragon Ball Z beat, or it's this, it's that, and then that's what makes people go, oh, this, that's becomes my identity in the music. Is like okay, it has this Chicago sound, this trap music sound, this drill music sound, but it's on like a completely different realm as far as the music goes. and that kind of like, you know, people can hear it and go, oh, I know who that is. So.
Can you all talk a little bit about your creative process? You know, like when you are writing something, when you are making a beat, or working with a particular artist, or collaborating together. Can you tell me a little bit about your creative process?
Yeah. So when it comes to making beats, for me, it's usually just I'll just open up FL Studio, the program I used to make beats in. I'll mess around with some sounds, see what sounds right. I'll throw my drums in it and then just like mix it and go from there. And the beat can take me anywhere from 10 to 15 to even, you know, 10 to 15 minutes to even an hour or two to make one beat. But, you know, it all depends on my mood and how I'm feeling. And sometimes I just can't make a beat at all. And I have to like just wait a minute or listen to some samples. But as far as our process is together when we work, like what'll happen is we'll hear something. Well, usually D2X will just send me a bunch of samples. I'm sitting on hundreds of samples right now to listen to, from disco to funk to like old jazz
Longest
stuff.
to look at 'em.
Yeah, yeah. And then like just so much different stuff. We got to go into the crates and all this different types of stuff. And you know, when it comes to us working together, usually it'll start with the beat. He'll send me a sample, send me an idea. He has ideas in his phone all the time. He'll tell me, you know, we need to do this. So I just have him come to my house. Then we'll start making a beat. He'll start writing, and then we'll go from there. And you know, he can kind of explain the rest of that process. So I think he on mute.
Yeah, no, I'm listening. Yeah, with me, my process is I take a lot of time with my music. Like I might sit on things for months, and I really like to write in spurts, especially because like I feel like I own everything, and I feel like being independent, that's what comes with being independent as well, which is a blessing in itself. Just being able to work on my own time and do things the way I want to do it. So sometimes I've written songs in less than 10 minutes in the studio. And then sometimes when I'm at home, I might just take months to write music, and I really just take my time because I want everything that, I speak and whatever I create and put out into the world for as a finished product. I want that to be everything that I set it out to be. And so I just take my time, and I go over beats and stuff that I write all the time. Sometimes I might write something to a beat. I might think of something in my head, write it down, then I go back to it, then it turns into a whole entire different song. So I just take my time and do it piece by piece, and then it comes all together.
Thank you all for sharing. And what I really enjoyed about listening to your creative process is it's an ongoing. It's ongoing. It's like
Yeah,
you don't stop. You don't stop your creative process. You have hundreds of samples. You're always writing. You're always moving. I think that's really cool. And also, important for people to understand that when you're a creator, you're always creating.
yeah. That's the truth to it.
So I have one more question before I'm going to open it up. If there was something that, like a song or something you all want to share, and then we're going to see if anyone have any questions. But when did you all get to the point, where you're like, I can be an entrepreneur. I can make money off of this. Both of you all, I saw D2X. I saw your videos with fancy cars, and I saw GLOhan Beats. I know you're working with some major players. So when did it come to the point? When did you turn your passion into a stream of income? Okay, when did you say, wait a minute, this is not just me writing on a piece of paper and spitting some bars. This is a Big Mac, like, or I can pay off my phone bill, et cetera, et cetera. So when did that switch happen? And in addition, what would you tell inspiring artists and producers who are looking at this as well?
Yeah. So like very early on, I started making beats in 2012, November. And like very early on, I noticed people were selling their beats online. So like, it was a thing that I noticed early. And as soon as I started putting my beats on YouTube, that's when I started, trying to get some money from that and realizing that it can, you know, become a job in the future. So I want to say I was about 14 years old when I started making beats. I'm 22 now. I was 14, and I made my first sale of a beat, I want to say in 2013, to one of my brother's friends for like $10. It wasn't a lot, but it was like, wow, I could make something on my computer that didn't cost me anything to make. And you know, like I could use the demo version of a program on the old computer. I used to use my mom's old like Windows XP computer. It was slow, it was real slow, but I used to work with that, and like it was amazing just to see that I'm able to make like even just $10 from this. And then just I was real consistent on YouTube back in the day. I'm still consistent today. I'm getting back to it, but back then I was real consistent with it. And one of the things that ended up happening was I was around 16 years old, and I was uploading my beats to YouTube. And back then, like now, YouTube has more requirements to be able to monetize your videos and stuff. But back then, they didn't have any requirements. You could just monetize from the gate. And I ended up, in order to get your first YouTube payment, you would have to reach the threshold of $100. I ended up actually reaching that threshold at the age of 16 through YouTube. And, you know, I didn't have enough money to go get me a bank account. So I went shoveled some snow, got me some money. I told my mom, can you take me up to the bank? Let's make a bank account. So she made me a bank account. Well, she didn't make it, but, you know, we made it together because I was only 16. But it's my bank account, of course. And then, you know, lo and behold, like a couple months later, YouTube and Google, they finally dished out my $100 payment. And that's when I really realized, okay, so not only can I sell beats, I can also do YouTube, make money from that. I can also sell my sounds personally that people can use. I can do so much other stuff with this than just sit there and make beats. So that kind of like, you know, that was my first realization that it was possible to monetize off that.
And for me, I would say, well, it was a few times. Like when I put out my first project, Enjoy Life, in 2018, that me and Glo was a part of, and I had got a few sales from that. But really, what was like what really put everything into realization was last year. I had a show at Illinois State University. Like it was a school night too, but I had emailed my professors and stuff and got the okay to just, you know, I couldn't have class the next day just because it took a while to even drive from my college all the way over to Bloomington. And when I realized like I was able to perform in front of college students that was just like me, but just being able to be blessed with a gift to present art to people was like, it made me realize, man, I could really see myself like making money off this for, you know, for years to come. So last year, 2019, I started releasing music videos for the first time ever in my career. I went years without even really like presenting my image like that, and it was really to everything was just a growing process, and I was really just building, and it's, you know, and just really just being in tune to my time. And so once I started putting videos out, then the shows came. Once the shows came, then it started turning into money in my pocket, and then getting a little bit of money from, you know, releasing my music. But the money really came from the shows, and that show I made more than I made working like for my first paycheck. So it was like I made more in one night from a paycheck that I worked for a whole entire week with. So once I realized that, I'm like, man, if I could do this, man, like if I could do this at least twice a week, shoot, even 7 days a week, like it would be beautiful. So I feel like it's coming though. It just takes time. And with any lucrative business, it's gonna take time to really make everything go full circle with you know, the money. Some might move faster than others, but at the end of the day, I'm just grateful just to do something that I love. And at the end of the day, like the money is gonna come. I just need to do this for the right reasons.
Yeah, and I want to just tag along because I just remembered the second part of your question. So like what I would tell, you know, aspiring music producers personally would be like patience is key, you know, because I started making beats in 2012. I didn't get my first, you know, song with a major artist until I was 4 years in 2016. And plus, like for some people, it takes even longer, you know, so patience is key. Along with that is like study the game, you know, watch tutorials all day, watch how-tos. If you have any questions about anything, just look it up, search it in the search bar, see what you can find. Along with that is like also look up how does music publishing work? How does royalties work? How does all this stuff work? Because, being educated in that sense and just knowing how all these different things work will really help you in the long run. Because, it just makes sense. It really will help you in the long run. So just educate yourself on it, study the game, and just be real patient.
And my advice to aspiring artists coming up would just be being patient, as well as believing in yourself before anybody else do. Because when I started making music, when I started in my neighborhood that I ever grew up with, that I know, like, all was like thinking that like just the questioning part. Not everybody, but it was a lot of people that was just so used to me playing basketball and doing one thing. And that's one thing I want to really go into short detail about. I don't know if it's just the community I come from, or it's just a thing that many people do. When people see you as one thing, I don't understand how society puts a constraint on people doing something and then trying to do something else differently as if it's a bad thing. And that's one thing I want to tell aspiring artists or anybody that wants to be great at something. It's okay for your dreams to change and for it to, and honestly, a lot of times that could be the best thing for you. And it's just about following what God wants. So at the end of the day, I feel like my music career is actually getting off to a greater start than even basketball was. Even though I was good at that, I feel like I've grown as a man, making music and learn more about myself. So at the end of the day, I just feel like don't listen to what anybody got to say. If it's negative or whatever the case may be, like, always follow what you believe in at the end of the day, because only you can see the vision that you have, even before anybody else do it. When they do, it's like at the end of the day, when people start to catch on to something that you're great at, you already thinking like even further than what they catching up to. Like, it's like I'm always feeling like I feel like I'm thinking 10 steps ahead. So at the end of the day, like, the fact that things have became what it's turned into so far, even and though I'm like, I know I'm at the beginning, like, the fact that a lot of things has occurred that might take others a long time or whatever the case may be. I just feel like I'm just grateful to do something that I visualized in my head and then watching it come to life. So I just feel like I just want younger artists and anybody that's trying to be great at something to, be futurists and just always taking things a day at a time. So
Thank you all both for sharing those words of wisdom. And so we're pretty much, we have about maybe like 5 to 7 more minutes. And so before you all share some music or a bar that you, to give the audience a little taste, I did want to say, is there anybody on Zoom who have any questions?
Yes, I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Hi. I just want to thank you guys, D2X, GLOhan Beats, for just sharing your stories and your process. I think it's always a great thing when young Black men use their voice to speak on certain things. My question pertains to, I'm an educator. And my question is basically, GLOhan, you talked about this idea of healing. And if you're constantly, I think you said maybe violence, like if you're constantly being or encountering violence or hearing violence or seeing violence, it's hard to heal. And, D2X, you do speak on God a lot in your music. So, my question to you all is, and I know, everybody has the freedom to express themselves, but my issue that I find as an educator is, and I work with middle school students primarily, but I'm sure this translates to high school age students. How do I, as an educator, just, I guess for me, you know, the kids that I see, that I teach, they gravitate more towards the negative aspects in the music. You know, negative aspects of social media, and it's not all of them, but you know, we're in this day and age where it's, you know, Black pride, Black power, making sure that we support each other. But if we have these, you know, non-healing type of images that are constantly, you know, you turn on the radio and you hear it all day. So how can I, as an educator, better educate our youth about the positive things in our culture? You know, not a lot of students listen to music about God, you know, unless they're going to church and they they listen to the choir, or their parents have gospel music, or unless they are you know, Christians. So how can I, you know, um, help my students really understand that the things that they listen to, the things that they see, does have an effect on their psyche and how they feel about themselves and how they feel about others?
Yeah. For me personally, I just feel like, you know, making certain things in a way, mixing genres together. Like, so me and D2X are actually having this conversation earlier about how, and we had this conversation when he first started rapping. I suggested like that there's no artist today who, like, most conscious rappers and rappers who talk about like real stuff use like these conscious beats, and it's kind of like, I'm not gonna say boring, because you know, a lot of times it's like they're paying homage, and we definitely pay homage in our music as well. But our main style we're trying to get to right now is like, we're trying to find a way to rap consciously and have meaning in the music, but with like a hard beat in the background, like a club type of beat. And I think like one of D2X's he just released along with this artist Wemi Mo, the track Mappas and Choppas. It's like, it's a hard beat in the background and it's kind of explicit, but it's not violent, and like the topic, like they're rapping about saving up for studio time and stuff, but it's just, it's hard. Like it got played on the radio and everything. So I feel like, you know, we're just making like, we're mixing the background music. The beat is so different, and it's so like, it matches what you will hear on the radio, but the actual subject matter is very different. And also personally for me, I want to say that a lot of kids like anime and Dragon Ball Z and Naruto and all this stuff is becoming cool now. Like back in my day when I was younger, it wasn't that cool. Like it wasn't, you know, you get picked on for liking that type of stuff. But like now you got artists like Megan Thee Stallion, who has anime merch coming out. She's doing deals with anime companies and stuff. And Lil Uzi Vert is an anime rapper and all this different type of stuff. And like, you know, certain types of animes are obviously violent and stuff. And certain, obviously, a lot of video games are violent. But for the most part, I think if you can like Naruto isn't super crazy or anything, and this stuff kids can watch and kids like it, and it's popular now. It's becoming more and more popular every day. And I feel like having musicians that represent that side of like young black nerd culture, it helps give those kids confidence as well, because they used to get talked about for it and stuff. So it gives them confidence, and it's also cool to listen to because it's becoming cooler now. You know, you start seeing these kids wearing these crazy hairstyles because that's cool now. And I think that it's the opposite of violence in a way. It's better subject matter. And I just feel like we need to have more of that. So I can't make anybody make a certain type of music, but I know I can make that type of music, and I can help influence in that culture in that way. And, you know, personally, my music has reached millions of people. My production has been heard. You know, one of the tracks I did with Lil Uzi Vert has over 30 million plays. So my beats personally have been heard by a lot of people. And I just feel like I give a lot of people that type of hope that, okay, this person likes what I like, and it's not violent and all this stuff. And, you know, I sometimes don't feel comfortable liking it or expressing it, but this person's expressing how they feel about this topic or this, you know, video game, this anime, and they're actually, it's cool for them. You know, they can make a living off of it. And I think paving that way influences the culture in a great way, because it allows us, you know, you don't have to talk about guns to get money. You don't have to talk about guns to go further in music. You don't have to talk about killing or gang violence or any of that. You can talk about watching Naruto, or you can talk about, you know, playing 2K or whatever, and actually get paid from doing that. So just providing a different route to people. I think that's going to, definitely show the kids that there's stuff cooler out there than the negative stuff.
And just picking off what Glo was saying, I definitely agree. I feel like definitely I think it's actually a smart idea, and it's also definitely I feel like it's effective that we like subject matter, we speak on things that could really help kids learn about life, or even for them to relate to things. And I also feel like doing it in a cool way, just like if a toddler was trying to learn their ABCs or something like that. It seems like from my experience, kids seem to learn more when they're doing something that's that has a lot of substance to it, but they're having fun at the same time. So I feel like what what a lot of music, what bounce does for people, is for people to move and jump, and it creates a sense of happiness. But I feel like at the end of the day, no matter what you consume, and if you consume too much of something, it can have a negative effect on you depending on what you're taking in. And I could say that about even like social media. Say if you're following a ton of negative people and that's all you see every day and you scroll through, it's gonna affect the way you think, even if you don't try to or not. So it's like I've seen this recent tweet recently about this person that said like how much peace they found by following following a lot of just positive people all day long. So I feel like it's the same effect in music, and anything that you engage yourself in is going to have some type of influence on you, regardless if you don't think so or not. It just does. It's just how the mind works. So I feel like giving the kids and the youth something that they can have fun listening to, but at the same time it being the subject matter and the words is something that's actually that could be helpful at the same time. So I think that's a great way of helping people learn and actually enjoy music.
Yeah, and just to further tag along with that, I just wanted to put out like, obviously we're going to have music that has darker themes to it and stuff like that. And then of course, a lot of the music me and D2X have made personally has explicit lyrics and stuff in it, but we're not encouraging any like violent acts, anything crazy. Like it's usually just form of expression and different types of things like that. So, and then obviously 90% of my music is instrumental. So there's no lyrics at all to even encourage anything to anybody to do anything. So like, yeah, we just paving a different way, just making music in a certain way that is still cool, down to earth. We're not trying to be perfect or anything. We're not trying to convey an image of perfection. We're just trying to, like I said earlier, I think it was the second question when we talked about role models, just showing decency in general. Like there's no reason to be super violent if you don't, why would I just do that in my music just to do it, just to be cool? A lot of people do have those real life experiences, but a lot of people are also just doing it just to be cool and just to get on and just to get signed to a record deal. And it's not worth selling out in that manner. If that's not what you truly want to rap about, that's not what you truly want to put out in the world, then you shouldn't do it. You should just put out what you want to put out personally. So, that's why I'm so heavy into the anime aspect and the video game aspect, is because if you knew me when I was a kid, you would know that was all I was into. I used to bring Naruto books to school and read them. So, like why would I make music and then do something different other than my life experience? So, that's just in that question. I mean, in the answer.
Thank you so much, both of y'all, for your profound answers. Thank you, Danielle, for your wonderful question. There are no more questions, and it's almost time for us to kind of go, but I do want to give y'all an opportunity to just maybe speak about your latest song, or your what's coming up next, as well as how can people reach you.
Okay. So yeah, my latest song that I dropped was this, actually really the only official release I dropped all year. It's called New Wave Remastered. It is a rendition of a beat I made in 2016 that was kind of in high demand from people because I did this interview about one of my tracks that I did with Lil Uzi Vert, and the interview ended up getting like 1 million views. And one of the aspects of that interview was they were talking about this old beat I made that Uzi rapped on from a long time ago that never came out. And so I capitalized off that demand, and a lot of people wanted to hear it, so I released that track. And that can be found on Apple Music, Spotify, every major platform pretty much, even SoundCloud. It's called New Wave, in parentheses, Remastered. So that's the latest song I put out. It samples one of my favorite video games called Super Monkey Ball 2, which is actually the sample I used in my track with Uzi and Gucci Mane called Secure the Bag. So not the same sample, but both those tracks came from the same game. So yeah, so that's my latest track. And you know, D2X, tell them what you working with, man.
I released this song called We in February. Actually, I think I released it on Valentine's Day, actually, or no, February 7th. So the week before Valentine's Day. I wrote this song about my partner. It's definitely one of my first or like few of my latest love songs that I ever made. And I basically really put that song out just for my girlfriend. And then I just got a recent song that just released, a feature I did, but I had like an entire verse on it. So it was really like a real collab. Me and this artist named Wimmy Mo, he's from Uptown, north side of Chicago, and me from the south side. So it's kind of like we came together, just showing that, you know, upcoming artists can collab together and for things to work out. So the song has been doing very well lately. We just hit 1,000 views in a week on YouTube, and it's still going up at this point. So we might hit even 2,000 in 2 weeks. So I'm definitely I encourage people to check out the video. Super dope. We have this one shot where it's like the Chinese takeout box over the camera. Like, it was super dope, and it was like this was my first experience also like doing like a high HD video that was like really like had a whole camera crew and everything. So I have a lot coming up as well. Have a documentary coming very soon. Don't know when, but that's in the works. I plan on me and GLOhan and other producers I'm working with to trying to release like a project before the year is over with. So that's what I got in store.
Yeah, and also, how can people contact me? I just want to say mostly Instagram. That's at GLOhan Official, at GLOhan Official. And then as far as my email, if you want to contact me through email, you can get me at GLOhan Beats, GLOhan Beats, BEATS at GLOhanofficial.com. So that'll be how you can contact me. I also have a Twitter, same as my Instagram, but my Twitter is more like a bunch of random stuff. I joke a lot on Twitter and stuff, so it's not super professional. I wouldn't, but my Instagram is more laid out professionally and more in order. So you can hit me up there. You can hit me up through my email, etc. So,
and you can get me on Twitter at D2X __. Facebook, D2X Demo is my artist page. Also, you can get me on Instagram at D2X ___, 4 underscores. And I just be myself all the time. I love trying to give advice to people to help them learn and just grow within their day and weeks and everything. I just love just giving back to people in any way. And I feel like knowledge is priceless at the end of the day. So I try to just use the experiences that I've had in my life and apply that with a tweet and music. So.
Well, I just want to say thank you again for taking your Monday evening to share with the world your gift of creating music. I truly appreciate it. I do want to leave this particular session with some tidbits that you all left, some gold nuggets. D2X, you said you find healing and improvement, and throughout your particular narrative, you have constantly been improving yourself. Even when basketball was something you were just like thinking about not doing anymore. You said, look, maybe I can take the rap game a little seriously. So you constantly improve yourself. And GLOhan, you talked about this idea of patience is key. When you discuss this idea of securing the bag, you said, look, it took me 4 years to get a bag, but I got it, and now I'm still getting it. So I just want to say, hey, world, this is our youth. You know, these are our young Black men who are making a positive contribution to the world through their music. And so definitely follow D2X as well as GLOhan Beats. If you are familiar with my page, Black Meditations with Dr. Caesar, I'm going to post their info on that page as well. So thank you all so much for participating in the second episode of Black Meditations with Dr. Caesar, and I will see you all again next week. Thank you again, D2X, and thank you again, GLOhan Beats. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.